I'm going to wait for a little while. This is an odd time for us, I know. We have a bunch of stuff going on this week, and I wasn't able to make it to the studio. But, yes, we are going out live on 97.7 KCYP FM in McAllen, Texas. Yes, we're streaming out to them. So, Joe's getting it. His Facebook, his YouTube, and the Bitcoin Otter Facebook and YouTube. So, today... And like I said, we're gonna hang on with a little bit. I got some good stuff for you. I'm really hoping that a few of you are able to grab on to some of the things I talk about today and really understand where our culture is at and why we are at this place. I'm going to give it to you plain and simple to the best of my ability. And I'll tell you what, I will not abandon you if you want more info, if you want a deeper understanding. I'm here. I'm going to give out my number, give out my email. I'll give that out a few times so that you're able to contact me for further information if you so choose, because a lot of people normally have a lot of questions when it comes to how things, in my opinion, really shake out, how the world really is, what the political parasite class, as I call them, really does, what they really want for you and me, and what they don't want you and I to think. So, we will go into that. So today I've got some different places. I got the phone here, and on my desktop here, I have the chat. It looks like Corey's on there. You should also come. Well, he's trying to get me out to play hockey. If you see that, we used to have ice hockey here in McAllen. It was awesome, right, Corey? Man, we rocked that ice. Sometimes my head rocked it too, as you could probably tell by the way I am. That being said, I will come out one of these days, Corey. I will. I need to go out and play. That said, thanks. Love you too, Corey. I miss you guys. Miss you guys out there. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ramp up some current events, a few things, quickly, and then I'm going to go into the meat of it. And what it really has to do is a nerve that was really touched. It was almost as if some people touched the nerve on the deep state, on the parasite class, on Hollywood, DC, all these rats, touched their nerve, and wow, did they pop. They moved. If you can't even say it was, it was a hit to the funny bone. We all know how that happens. No. Ladies and gentlemen, Sound of Freedom is rocking these people to the core. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk to you about why Sound of Freedom rocks these people to the core. I also want to warn you that depending on my free form thought process, I may say some things that would get us banned from. We're only going out right now on 2 YouTube channels, 2 Facebook channels. I'm not at the studio, so we're not going out live over the air, 97.7 FM KCYP, McAllen, Texas. But Joe will put that into place once this is recorded. And for all of you that are listening live, please feel free to get in like Corey did earlier. Throw a comment up. I really do want to hear what you think. I really do want to talk about things that matter to you. And this should matter to you, because whether you have children or not, nobody like us, and I'm not counting the people in Hollywood, and I'm not counting Republicans and Democrats in DC. I'm not counting those people. Who I'm counting are regular, average people who cannot stand to see, I have a clenched fist down here, who can't see children being hurt. We can't take it. We just really, really won't take it anymore. We won't, and we shouldn't. It is something that brings us all into a common place. We either have children, we've seen children, we're uncles, aunts, moms, dads, grandparents, whatever. Maybe even just kids in the neighborhood. We don't want to see children harmed. So I start with that. What I would also like to say is that we're going to need some prayer for our new friend Omar Rodriguez from last week's show. He's a local comedian, and they were going to do a show tonight. Let me put up the, see if I have it. Okay, no, I didn't put it up, but it is on my post, or on my feed there, Facebook feed. So he has a friend that was going to be at the show. He was going to perform, a comedian. Let me make sure I get his name correct as I go about this. I would hate to get this wrong because it's not a, how would you say, a real common name. So I'm going to look at the Facebook pin here, which is not cooperating with me. My phone is not cooperating with me. But anyway, I believe his name is, it's got to be a stage name, right? Junebug Ulibari, okay? He is Omar Rodriguez's friend, our friend, right? Not far removed, but he's going through some sort of health emergency. No details given, none asked. But if you could pray for him, pray for Junebug. They're going to have to reschedule it. I put it on my feed. It's going to be sometime in August. And Barrel House, and there's a couple others. Just please take a look. May he be well. May God bring him quick and full, thorough healing. Thank you. So here's where I'm going to start. And again, if you guys come in early, late, whatever after this, please see the recording if you're interested. So here's what we're going to start with. It's unrelated to what I said a moment ago, but I really do. I have to put this out here. So I'm going to kind of get out of the way, and I'm going to explain this here. So here's a tweet from a guy, his handle on Twitter is I meme, therefore I am. Okay? He's got a video on the bottom of it. I didn't include the video. I'm still figuring things out here on this system that broadcasts the show. It's called OBS. If you guys know OBS, if you want to throw some pointers my way or some videos or whatever, please do so. So this guy here on Twitter says, if this video won't make you pissed off, I don't know what will. So it's a video with Max Blumenthal in it, okay? And he's taking some people to task. And I think you're going to really see where I'm coming from when you read why, or I explain why he's taking these people to task. So he's talking to some so-called representatives in D.C. And he says, the American public has no idea where their tax money is going. Duh. We found among many bizarre payments, 4.5 million U.S. Social Security Administration payment. Now again, this is on Twitter, so it wasn't quite grammatically correct. But what Mr. Blumenthal found was a payment from our Social Security fund, which guys like me, we don't think it's going to be there by the time we get there. But anyway, this is what they found. Blumenthal's a representative. I don't know if he's congressman, senator, or whatever, but they investigated, they dug, let's say. And they found that there was a $4.5 million payment from our Social Security fund that went where? To the Kiev government. Ukraine. Yeah. They so much need your money, they're going to take it from your Social Security, ladies and gentlemen. You can stand with Nazis whether you like it or not. Nazis, what are you talking about? This ain't World War II. I know. But there's a band of brigands over there calling themselves the Azov Battalion. Look them up. Look up the images connected to them. They're Nazis, and they love it. So, when you stand by Nazis, this is what you get. Say goodbye to your Social Security. If we keep these people in charge, okay, I'm grabbing for my cup of coffee here. If we keep these people in charge, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be nothing but more of this. Suffice it to say, a change needs to be made. Now, we found $4.5 billion worth of payments from the U.S. Agency for the National Development to pay off Ukraine's sovereign debt, which, oh, these people are beautiful. You're going to love this one. Is owned by the global investment firm BlackRock. Isn't that interesting? Isn't BlackRock? Where have we heard that before? Wait a minute. Don't they own just about all the real estate in the country? Aren't they part of the usual suspects? Well, hell yeah, they're part of the usual suspects. Of course they are. Ladies and gentlemen, they're siphoning your Social Security to give it to Ukraine. Don't you like that little gnome, Zelensky? The tiny dancer. Isn't he a great guy? Doesn't he deserve more of our Social Security? We've only worked, in my case, 30-some years to hopefully get some of that back in Social Security. Nah. The Nazis need it. And, our corrupt politicians are just the people to give it to them. You think that money's ever coming back? Do you think anybody is ever going to get paid besides BlackRock? So BlackRock is at the other end of our Ponzi scheme called Social Security. Can't make this stuff up, folks. You really can't make this stuff up. So, now, I'm going to go into what I had told you in the beginning of the show we were going to talk about. I may not go, I don't know how long I'm going to go today. It'll probably depend on whether or not I'm able to articulate this clearly, correctly, and coherently. I will do my best, but I will tell you that this is my hot button. This subject is something that God has been calling me to be on the offensive about for a while now. What do I mean by offensive? Meaning, if there's any way I can offensively defend children, I will do it. I don't want to obviously put my family in any risk. I have certain things that are going that are in the works right now. I've already told you all about Megan Walsh. I've told you about the Hollywood Reporter on Twitter, Mike Pack, the producer, the Hollywood producer who left all that mess, left the Hollywood hellscape that he calls, that's why his tagline is Hollywood Reporter. So he's working closely with Megan Walsh, and one of these days, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to introduce her to you on this show. Her case is mind-boggling. But suffice it to say that children being abused, trafficked, is a hot button for many of us. But this subject that I'm bringing up with you today is going to hopefully make a lot of sense. So here's how I'm going to start. This is from it's an outfit, I think it was Hollywood in toto. I'm saying in toto as in, I think that's, I don't know a lot of Latin, but in toto meaning in total, something along those lines. So what I'm thinking is that they're hip to these people and they're onto it. So the title of it is 5 Shocking Reasons Media Savaged Sound of Freedom. Now, if you don't understand what Sound of Freedom is, or even know what it is, it's a movie. It stars Jim Caviezel and Mira Sorvino. Okay, Jim Caviezel, remember, played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, and he's an outspoken Christian, which is enough to piss off Hollywood. That's for sure. So, 5 shocking reasons media savaged Sound of Freedom. And we'll go into more of this after this particular article. 1, it's tribalism on steroids. Ladies and gents, when Hollywood, the most unoriginal place in the world, they have to steal material. Maybe I'll get into that one of these days. But Hollywood, it's very commonplace for Hollywood to steal intellectual property from the people who actually creatively wrote it, shot it, whatever, however you want to call it. I mean, that's just a modus operandi in Hollywood. They steal. So they are a tribe, and they stick together. They kind of circle the wagons when something happens. So when Jim Caviezel comes out with his movie, they all want to pan it. Why? Because they're all in the same cesspool. Hollywood is a cesspool. Okay? They're all in the same cesspool. They all are compromised in one way or another. There may be some outliers. There may be some, how would you put it, exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, they don't get to stardom without being in some way or form compromised. So that their handlers, okay, only one quote showed up. Their handlers, at some point or another, could pull the plug on their career if need be. So that's the number one, tribalism. They're going to circle the wagons and come against something that exposes the truth. What does Sound of Freedom expose? In case, maybe there might be some of you out there who haven't heard about it or seen it. I haven't seen it personally, but unfortunately, I know the subject matter very well. It's about a guy named Tim Ballard. It's based on a true story. A guy named Tim Ballard who would go into South America, Central America, and he would fight child trafficking. And the things that he found, the people that he ran into and the children he saved are part of this movie. And I hear it's spectacular. Very low budget. Delayed, I want to say, for like 5 years because Hollywood is what Hollywood is. And tribalism kept it, the first reason, tribalism on steroids, kept it from coming out until now. Makes you think about something that maybe I'll talk about later. So, number 2, storytelling is for liberals, dummy. Well, I don't want to go on a rant about this, but it has to be said that if there is some sort of creative bent towards storytelling, the mainstream media and Hollywood pretty much has it cornered because there's not a lot of outlets where someone who wants to promote some sort of wholesome family, meaning the nuclear family, type of content, they're not going to get it through Hollywood. They're not going to get it from or into or through or produced or promoted by the usual woke subjects. They won't allow a wholesome family fare to be produced big budget anymore. So storytelling is for liberals, dummy, means basically they're not going to allow a story to be told on the level that it is told with the clarity that it is told in Sound of Freedom. So, yeah. Number 3, Freedom exposes Groomers, Inc. See that? Inc. They are incorporated, ladies and gents. They are incorporated. It is a corporation. What do you think Epstein Island was all about? This right here. Okay, so what are groomers? Groomers, and I guess the best way to show it is what happens in England all the time, in Europe. Now it happens here in the US, but it's much more easy to articulate what happens in Europe. In Europe, there are these gangs that run around that have much different belief than most, I guess you could call them, Christian Europeans. So these people believe that anyone who is not of their persuasion, not of their faith, pretty much deserves to be treated however they want to treat them. So they look for like young teenage girls or even younger, and they tell them, hey, your parents don't really know much, your family is not much, we have things for you, we'll treat you like an adult, this and that. And these kids, they basically are taken off their off the reservation by their groomers. And the groomer, what they do is they set them up for prostitution, they set them up for trafficking, they set them up for all this stuff. So this is what Sound of Freedom exposes. It not only exposes the fact that there are groomers out there, but also the fact that it is extant, it occurs. The fact that they will show you how it's done. Oh, that's not what Hollywood wants. That's not what Washington, D.C. wants. They do not want people to even know grooming exists, much less the methods and sources of said grooming. Hollywood hates Christians is number 4. So do some journalists. Ooh, we're going to get a guy right on the screen here, and we're going to show you in a little bit. He really hates Christians, and he's a journalist. Anyway, Hollywood hates Christians. That's obvious. So they will hate this because to some degree or another, God is, if not center stage, has a big showing in the movie. They really do showcase the spiritual aspect of this. Ladies and gents, what we're going through now, be it geopolitical, be it American politics, be it what's on your TV, Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, Disney. Oh, I don't have a spittoon here, but just saying that kind of makes, yeah. So these are the types of people, okay, that hate Christians. And it's obvious. It's obvious. They're on the other side. Sorry if you love them, but they're on the other side. And they hate Caviezel more. Wow. So, this Hollywood in Toto says that liberal film critic Roger Moore didn't just skewer Sound of Freedom, which is perfectly fine, since art is always subjective. He directed his ire at Caviezel. And this is what this tool, Roger Moore, not the really cool Roger Moore, not the James Bond. This is the tool Roger Moore. Caviezel made it his business to cynically pander to his conservative, and we're going to be talking about this, conservative religious QAnon. We're going to get there, ladies and gents. We're going to get there. Audience, long before he starred in TV's Person of Interest. That was a TV show that Jim Caviezel had. And, he's got to throw some mud here, this Roger Moore tool. Which was canceled because he's just not an interesting, expressive actor person. Roger, you are a complete and utter tool. And we know. So, the 5 things, 5 shocking reasons. Doesn't shock me, and if you do watch this show, it certainly doesn't shock you. 5 reasons media savage Sound of Freedom. It's tribalism on steroids. Storytelling is for liberals, dummy. Freedom exposes groomers, Inc. Hollywood hates Christians, so do some journalists. And number 5 was they hate Caviezel more. That's just the way it is. Now, if you're thinking Otter, that's one outlet. That's one outlet there. And you know what? One outlet hating on the movie and hating on Caviezel does not an outcry make. But I kind of cherry picked some. But there is a literal avalanche of this stuff. Well, maybe not literal. Maybe I went a little too far. It's not literal here in McAllen, Texas, where we have 100 and some heat. There's no avalanches to my knowledge. So here's Rolling Stone. Sound of Freedom, and I'm going to let this chop my head off. I don't really care. Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. Does that sound like a rational human to you? Who's this dude? We got another tool here? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. His name's Miles Klee. If photos had 1,000 words, I'd put it up there. But he's one of those soy boys. Anyway, the subtitle for this swill says, the QAnon... There it is again. There it is again. Remember when I said earlier that they touched a nerve? Oh, they touched a nerve, all right. They most certainly touched a nerve. And what happened was they got scared. They are oh so scared. And why are they scared? They are scared because they know how the good guys have manifested in this war. We're at war, ladies and gentlemen, and like I said, it's at its core a spiritual war. Good versus evil. It's not Republican and Democrat. It's not liberal and conservative. It's spiritual. It's good versus evil, ladies and gents. And we want to be on the right side. I'm not telling you got to change your politics. I'm not telling you got to vote for somebody, though it might behoove you and our country. What I am saying is, this is a spiritual war. And if you're not prepared, if you're not praying, and if you're not acting in accordance to what it is you know is good, well then you might find yourself on the wrong side. And nobody wants to be there. Who else is on the wrong side? This Miles Klee dude. So, Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms, is the title, right? So, dads with brainworms, according to Klee, are the kind of people that would object to child sex trafficking. I guess he doesn't want us as dads to object to that kind of stuff. Do you wonder why? Do you really wonder why? I don't think you do. I think you get it. His subtitle: The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Ow! You really hurt me. I'm Gen X, you putz. Boomer? These clueless fools. Utter fools, and I'll get into that in a little bit. They're really ignorant. Boomers, my dad's a boomer. I'm not a boomer, right? If I like to say I'm young, I'll go ahead, I'll say I'm too young to be a boomer. I am a Gen X, and probably so, man. I mean, man, it was cool growing up in the 80s. But this Schenkelstein right here, this Klee fool, I won't even give you any more of this. I won't even give him any more time. So that's one. Again, if you're thinking there's no preponderance of the tribalism that I spoke of earlier, then let me go with something else. The Washington Compost, ladies and gentlemen. Here we got a picture of Mr. Caviezel there. The Washington Compost, it's the Washington Post, but it's, much better when we speak truth. Mentor! Good to see you. Saw you pop up there. I'm seeing you here, not seeing you there. I think this is better. Good to see you here with us, Mentor. Talking about some interesting stuff. Sound of Freedom, Mentor. Sound of Freedom. Good movie. I hear it's a great movie. They're trying to keep people out of the theaters too, ladies and gentlemen. I hear that, I've been seeing this on Twitter, that tickets are being refunded. When you get them on the internet, they get refunded. And then when people show up anyway to buy tickets again, they're told that there's no AC in that particular theater. Though the other showings of other movies do have AC. Tribalism on steroids indeed, ladies and gents. The Washington Compost. Sound of Freedom, the low-budget film. They throw that in there, but what a success. What a success, ladies and gentlemen. It is a low-budget film, but it's so good, it's topping the box office charts. Anyway, back to this nastiness. The low-budget film about child sex trafficking almost topped the box office on July 4. Wouldn't that have been great? How patriotic is that? Getting rid of child sex trafficking. Wouldn't that be awesome if America could do that? I pray, Lord. I pray. But its star, Jim Caviezel, has linked it to the QAnon movement. There it is again, ladies and gentlemen. There it is again. Jim Caviezel has linked it to the QAnon movement. What does it say on the bottom here? Sound of Freedom is a box office hit whose star embraces QAnon. Sound of Freedom, a low-budget film. And then it goes on about Jim Caviezel and how he linked it. And I'm going to get into what they're talking about and how he linked it in their eyes, in their minds. They're sick, twisted, bereft of any goodness minds. Now, a little change of pace here. A little change of pace. And this one's going to cover my mug completely, which might, help your screen a little bit if it's getting cracked by my visage. So, here's the deal. There are many of us, and I'm going to go on about this. I won't waste your time. This will not be a waste of your time, I promise. But I'm going to change gears right now, and I'm going to put you into the mindset of someone who has his fingers on the pulse of many different things, but if nothing else, then this war. Here we go. This is from what is called the anti-New York Times. This guy's name is Mike King. He's not for everybody, but his periodical, it comes out like every 2, 3, 4 days, whatever. This is called the Anti-New York Slimes, okay? And he is telling us also, he is letting us know what it is that's going on with this movie. Here's Mike King, Anti-New York Times. There is, however, one notable movie which somehow failed to meet the standard of all the films to list. So, apparently, the New York Times, every year, every summer season, gives a list of movies that are coming out in the theaters. And this list of movies includes what they believe will be the blockbusters, the good ones, so to speak. Well, guess which movie didn't make it on the New York Slimes Movies Fit to See list? Sound of Freedom. So Mike is informing us as to why it did not make it. So he says that somehow it failed to meet the standard of all the films fit to list. This failure to even mention it, and this was written in, I think it was written last week, because I think they did say something and Mike has brought that up. But silence is still ongoing as of today when that was written. It's so strange, in fact, that this is shockingly conspicuous and suspicious in its absence from the list. Why would the New York Times not put Sound of Freedom on their list of movies for the summer? The movie has already, and this was, look at this figure, ladies and gents. This figure was from last week as of 7/2. 7/2/23. We're on the 13th. It has already pre-sold 930,000 tickets. Can you see why these people are panicking, ladies and gentlemen? They're being exposed. Let me go on. It will be showing in theaters nationwide. Features 2 established stars. And has just in recent days been strongly promoted by Devin Nunes, CEO of Trump's Truth Social. Trump operatives, this is what Mike King says of Steve Bannon and Kash Patel. If you don't know them, hit me up. I'll give you a bio, if you will. I'll tell you who they are. So, and Twitter boss, imposter, that's a deep one. I'll get on, if you want, hit me up with that one. Elon Musk. That film is a crowd-funded Angel Studios. Never heard of them, have you? Of course you haven't. And Hollywood doesn't want you to hear of them either. Sound of Freedom. Starring Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, and Mira Sorvino. This is me, this is not Mike King. Mira Sorvino is the daughter of Paul Sorvino, who was Paulie in Goodfellas, just in case you didn't know. Why the USS Liberty likes silent treatment over what... Mike King throws these things in there. USS Liberty was a signal ship that was attacked by Israel during the 6-Day War, and they lied about it. Our government lied about it, and it is the single most decorated battle that was ever commenced and given awards for on the U.S. Navy, and you've never heard of it. The USS Liberty. Look it up. Don't believe what the mainstream says about it. Over what may, God willing, turn out to be the blockbuster hit of 2023. IMDb is a music thing, a movie database, internet movie database. Okay. The description says, without intending to do so, answers that riddle for the more astute among us. So Mike throws a bone every now and again to those of us who know what's really going on. The incredible true story of a former, this is IMDb, the incredible true story of a former government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from sex traffickers. That's what the movie's about. So, what was an overarching theme? We got 2 big ones here. The first and foremost was child sex traffickers. This last one I just read now says that the movie exposes the fact that This Tim Ballard guy and his organization went after hundreds of them. What does that mean? That means that they are extant. They are prolific, ladies and gentlemen. They're after our children. They're in Hollywood, they're in Washington, D.C., and yes, they're in South America where this movie took place. But the people in Hollywood, the people in D.C., and they are more intricately linked than you can imagine. You want sauce? You want info? You want data? Hit me up. Here is where you can do that. BitcoinOtter.media@gmail.com. You want to know more? I've got more. It's not pretty, but there are some of us that are not going to stand idly by watching as our children are taken from us and trafficked. Website, BitcoinOtter.com. Phone number, 737-256-9339. Now, here's what I want to talk about, ladies and gents, and I'm not going to take up too much of your time. QAnon does not exist. Wait a minute, Otter, I thought you were going to bust this open. I will, to a degree. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to make it quick. QAnon does not exist. QAnon is an invention of the mainstream media. There is no such thing as QAnon. They made this up. They think it's catchy. They like it and they're rolling with it. Let me tell you the truth. Q exists. Anons exist. Q, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest intel dump in the history of the world. If I'm correct, and I may or may not be, plus or minus 5,000 to 7,000 drops. What's a drop? A drop is a bit of information, sometimes encoded, other times more obvious, that came through, at first, what was 4chan. Why 4chan? I've heard so many bad things about that. Of course you have. You've been watching mainstream media. 4chan, I mean, it's not for most of us. I'm really, I don't lurk, so to speak, on 4chan. It's really, really strongly inhabited by computer geeks, I guess. The kind of people that, are on their computer all the time, all day. Those kind of people. Not necessarily the bad ones. There are some bad ones, but as with everything else, there's more good than bad. But there are bad ones. Now, 4chan was taken down by the usual subjects, right? Usual suspects. So Q moved to 8chan. Okay, 8chan then hosted the drops. Q alerts is something you can look up. You're not going to find these things easily. The usual suspects have this very well covered. And 8chan, I believe, also was taken down. So I can't remember the latest one that they were on, but they did take a hiatus after the 2020. And we can say this now, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, YouTube and Facebook have both greenlit the exposure of voter fraud and election corruption in the 2020 election. They've greenlit it, so I can say it. I'm no longer afraid. It's getting to the point, ladies and gentlemen, when I am going to be so direct and to the point, I will no longer be able to be on Facebook and or YouTube. I don't feel too bad about it because those of you that really do want to follow me will go to Rumble with me. And those of you who don't won't. That's fine. But for now, let's talk about Q. Q is a group. By their own stats, there are more than a handful, which is more than 5 and less than 10. So you figure out, you make your guess. Okay? They are senior military personnel and also retired, some. And some are in the intel, on the intel side. So you would imagine that people of this stature would have the ability to see many things. Now, you might think, are they dropping classified information? No. No, they're not. What they do, and these anons, these computer, and I don't think they'd really be offended when I say geeks, these computer geeks who know more than I'll ever know in 14 lifetimes about computers and programming and so forth, put together what is dropped or what they can, basically collaborate on via these drops. So you would have a Q drop, and on one of these shows I'll give you an example of what one of those Q drops looks like. But it's just basically saying, hey, this might be something you want to look out for, or this person might be a bad guy, that person might be a good guy. But overwhelmingly, it's a group of people that just wants to stimulate thought. They use the Socratic method of questioning your intellect. If you still have it, it may have been educated out of you, depending on how many degrees you have. Your ability to think may have been stunted by prolific TV watching, extreme amounts of mainstream media adherence. But what Q wants to do is wake you up. It's called the Great Awakening. Not my term. I have much information on this that I can, offline, I can send it to you if you care. But what I'm saying is the mainstream media is blaming this on this fictitious group called QAnon. There is no such thing as QAnon, because they know that if you look it up, you're going to end up in one place. Circular search to mainstream media. Their fact checkers will be at it again. Now, Q drops still, not as frequently, but Q was very active in 2017, 2018, 2019. Okay? But let me tell you something about why this is so intriguing. Tammy, glad to see you, Tammy. Getting a bunch of you guys in there. Please feel free to look back on this. We said a bunch of interesting stuff. Chuck, I'm glad to see you, Chuck. Sue's watching, and Jessica, glad to see you on, Jess. We're talking about QAnon, a fictitious group that the media would like you to look up. Why? Because if you look up QAnon, all you're going to find is their trash. That's all you're going to find. The trash of the mainstream media and how they trash this fictitious group named QAnon. But like I've said a moment ago, Q does exist, and there are Anons out there that are working hard, faithfully, for the Great Awakening, so that hopefully you too will awaken to the truth of what's really going on. We are in a war, ladies and gentlemen. It has been for some time now an informational war. So the bad guys that have nearly a stranglehold on our ability to receive good information, good intel, if you will. Thanks, Jess. They will. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you. They will do anything that they can to keep that stranglehold. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's lost. They've lost the informational war. What does that mean? And I'm going to get serious here, because this is something, as you remember, my mandate, I believe, from God is to be a watcher on the wall. It's biblical. Look it up. Watcher on the wall. And I see what's coming. What is coming, ladies and gentlemen, is a scare event. How do I know this? Well, yeah, Q did drop it in 17, 18, 19. Probably all those years. There were some Q drops that included the term scare event. Okay? So this scare event is going to occur probably within the year. Why is it going to occur? Because they, the usual suspects, have lost the informational war. How do we know this, Otter? How do we know that they lost? I mean, CNN is still in business. Fox, that piece of turd network, is still in business. How did they lose, Otter? How can you say that they lost? I can say that they lost because you're hearing about child trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my displeasure to announce to you that child trafficking is the fuel upon which Hollywood and Washington, D.C. are run. Epstein Island was a blackmail factory. They compromised judges, politicians, CEOs, bankers, the people who the mainstream media say are the elite of society, but which I have nominated, named, coined the phrase, the parasite class. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen? They feed on us, our children, our livelihoods. Earlier in the show, if you just joined us, you might have missed that part of your Social Security fund was raided and sent out to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, which was overthrown in 2014. And the proceeds of your Social Security fund were given to BlackRock. Ladies and gentlemen, these people are exactly who you think they are. They're bad guys. But not just bad. They are of evil that you cannot imagine. And the last thing they want you to do, is investigate and engage your mind. They want you watching Dancing with the Stars. They want you watching the 5 to 6, the 10 o'clock news on loop. They want you watching Fox every chance you get. They want you watching CNN, MSNBC, NBC. They want you watching it every chance you get. And they want you to know that child trafficking is for, how did that tool put it? Clee. It's for dads with brainworms. It's for dads with brainworms. So if you're a dad that wants to protect your children and other children, you must have brainworms. See, here's the thing, and this is why they're scared. More and more of us are awake. Not woke, awake. And we know the truth. We know what's going on. What has Q done? Q has given us a roadmap. Has even predicted things. Why? Because I believe, and you don't have to, because you're a thinking man or woman, I believe that all those supercomputers that we read about, all this AI that we just now this year have been getting into, that's old news to these people. The AI they allow us to use has got to be nothing in comparison to what they've been using for 10, 20 years. Remember that movie War Games with Matthew Broderick? Would you like to play a game? Imagine what it's like with supercomputers. They have gamed out this war. Ladies and gentlemen, believe me, it is a war. 2016, that guy that they recruited came down the escalator. We're going this way. Came down the escalator in 2016 of Trump Towers. Say what you will about Trump, he's a loudmouth. Yeah. Puts his foot in his mouth. Yeah. Maybe he should just keep quiet sometimes. Perhaps. But oh, how do I know that he's the right guy? Because the usual suspects hate him so much. They hate him so much they fear him. They fear him. And ever since that day, it has been all-out war. Informational up till a certain point. And Lord willing, it won't get to the physical part, but they are sure going to try, ladies and gents. They are sure going to try. Remember France? Everybody know France? What happened? 600 buildings were burned or still burning. Cars were burned. Thousands of cars. That may come to us in big cities. Oh, I don't want to scare you. I don't want to, I'm not here for, doom porn or anything like that. I'm just saying that these people are desperate. The usual suspects are desperate, ladies and gentlemen. So many of us are awake. So many of us are engaging our ability to think critically. And even more fearful for them, we're looking in other directions for information. Not just the mainstream media. So there's two things coming, ladies and gentlemen. To cut to the chase, we don't have a lot of time left. I don't want to waste your time. Therefore, if you would like more on this, bitcoinouter.media@gmail.com. bitcoinouter.media@gmail.com. So, they don't want you knowing the information. They don't want you to know how to use the information. So they're going to, how would you say, poison the pot. And there may be some other things coming up. But I don't want to overload this. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut to the chase of a warning. Not doom porn, nothing like that. But yes, I do believe they're going to try to take us to war. But the good guys are in control. Again, how do you know that, Otter? How do I know they're in control? These things would not be coming out if the good guys were not in control. They wouldn't. They simply wouldn't be out. You wouldn't be able to see them. And the scum like Klee wouldn't be able to tell you that you're a dead with brainworms. Because if they were in control, they wouldn't even mention this stuff. It'd be like a flea on the back of an elephant. Wouldn't have to worry about it because they're in control. But they're not in control anymore, ladies and gentlemen. They're just not. They're not. They're going to try and bring us to the brink of war, and they're going to lose. They're not going to be able to do it. I've got many, many reasons why they're not going to be able to do it. But they will not be able to bring us to war. Okay, Sue's asking, Maria, hello Maria. That was too fast. Can you put that back up? Okay, so my email address, and I'll leave it up there for a little bit for more information. And Sue's asking, who are the good guys? Okay, so I'm going to back up and tell you who Q is. Q is a group, more than 5, less than 10, of military personnel, intelligence personnel, both active and retired. This is what they gave up as far as the information of who they are. This is what they gave up. Do you believe it? That's up to you. They don't force anybody, and I certainly can't force anyone. That's antithetical to who I am and to what I want to do on this show. I want to put information in front of your mind. I want you to be the arbiter of truth in your own mind. I am not like the usual suspects. I will not tell you what to think. I would hope to help you how to think. We all know it until it's expunged from our mind by the institutions. They call them schools. And when you get really institutionalized to a high degree, they give you a piece of paper and they call it a degree. Not in all things, I know. We got engineers out there. We got surgeons out there. We got all kinds of people that are highly skilled because they went to college. Great. But when you start getting into philosophy and things like that, history, chihuahuas. History. Wow. Time for another show. That will do it for another show. History. What a lie. Anyway, bitcoinouter.media@gmail.com. Okay, who are the bad guys? I mean the good guys, Sue? You want to know who the good guys are? Okay. The good guys are the people that have wrested this power from the bad guys, which are, the people who own Hollywood, the people who own Washington, D.C., or they at least own politicians in Washington, D.C. But the biggest part that is visible to us, and again, not all bankers are evil, but if you know who the owners of the Federal Reserve are, you know the richest people in the world. It's not Elon Musk. What a joke. Okay? Jessica says, the pool's ready. Bring my trunks. I'm going to be there, Lord willing. So, the good guys are out there. I don't want to belabor this. I'm going kind of long in the tooth here. But the good guys are out there. And for reasons you can probably understand, don't want their faces and names to be known. However, there are people like me that are willing to put ourselves out there. Okay, when I earlier mentioned Kash Patel, he's one of the outspoken ones. I'm not saying that he's cute or even in the group. Don't get me wrong. But people who are speaking out, Bannon, General Mike Flynn, okay? General Mike Flynn. Oh man, he was just horribly, chased after by the bad guys. They got nothing because they got nothing. But these are the types of patriots that are standing up. And there are so many of us that are part of the plan to save the world. You can be part of that plan. All you got to do is learn, think in your own way, not my way. Again, bitcoinouter.media@gmail.com. You want to know more? I will help you on a journey that you'll never forget. You don't have to believe. Just expose your mind to data. And again, you be the arbiter of truth in your own mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you hanging on if you have. And if you haven't, that's fine too. Maybe you catch this on a Jessica hitting the party favors. Maybe you're just hanging on. Maybe you're like some of us that have lost jobs. Some of us have hit things in their life that are not happening. But I'll tell you, things I truly believe are going to be better. God wins in the end. Part of God's word is this: no weapon formed against us shall prosper. If you truly are a child of God, and if you want to learn how to be a child of God, contact me. Because I'll tell you what, I've been since I was 26 years old. Since 1996. And I thank him every day for allowing me to be that child of God. And I'm not afraid of the name of Jesus Christ, the name above all names, the only name under heaven by which you must be saved. So if you want to learn, one, how to get on the side that's going to win, God's side. Two, how to be a child of God and be part of the winning team, let me know. I'll walk you through the process and you believe what you want to believe. I'm not going to force you into anything. But I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate the comments. Thanks for everybody that's commenting. If this was too much for you, I'll take you through slowly, individually. Emails, phone calls, however you want to do it. If you're truly interested and you truly want to learn, I'll be here to help you. And if you don't, that's fine too. You are your own person. I'm not here to brainwash anyone. I'm here to tell the good news. The good news is that Jesus is here, as he always has been, and he's here to set you free. The secondary message is the good guys won, and they're in the process of winning. Okay? That'll do it for this week. Raul, good to see you. Sue says, faith doesn't make things easier, just possible. I can agree with that on many levels, Sue. Many levels. Faith is the operating factor. It's how we receive salvation. That's what God works in. Faith. That's his currency. Have faith. We'll travel. Where? Heaven. Who's the bridge? Who connects it? Jesus. Pretty simple. But I'll help you through it if you want to learn from somebody who's been through it. Thank you very much for tuning in. God bless you all. God bless your families. God bless our children. Lord Jesus, please bless our children. May more and more awareness grow about the evil in our world that is after our children, that we might expose it to the light of truth, that it might die on the vine, and that you might help us realize how to safeguard our children. Thank you, Father. Amen, amen, and amen. You have a great Thursday. I'll be back, Lord willing, next Thursday from a completely different place. Lord willing. I love you all. Have a great Thursday. Bye.